Good morning. So for our stability and stillness practice today, we're going to be talking about and working with the subtler energies in the body. So with all of these shifts and changes that are going on, and now we're on, I think, week 4 at least, a routine of some sort may have started to set in, or the lack of routine has started to set in. And usually it's spring, we do our springtime cleansing rituals. And I'm personally struggling with getting on board, including the fact that usually what I do is a khichdi cleanse. And a khichdi cleanse, khichdi is a type of dish that's rice-based. And we're struggling to find a lot of rice. And this is usually a meal that you have every day. It's an elimination diet where you start by having your normal breakfast and drinks and caffeine and whatever, your cocktails at night if you were doing that, or beers, wine. So you start your first day just kind of moving into the cleanse really slowly and then building up. Some people do it for a longer period of time. I usually only do 3 or 5 days, so right in the middle of the week. But I'm struggling to find a lot of rice. And so that's been a mental barrier for me. And I think there are a bunch of kind of mental barriers to our normal shifting into spring rituals. So I'm attempting to take part a little bit more and at least beginning an energetic cleanse. And so this morning, as I try and do at least 5 days a week, as I do a chant when I wake up. And so the chant this morning was releasing fear, then the energetic fear, and starting to take that energy of the fear and move it towards something that's productive, because of course fear is not productive unless you're being chased by a grizzly bear or something, and then it's dead on. You should definitely be a little scared. So, but this is fear for myself. It's you know, I've been doing my mindful art practices as well, but for myself it's financial fear, it's fear of not having another normal to go back to. It's fear of not being able to see people as we're doing right now for a longer period of time. So I'm attempting to address these energetic fears and allow them to start to turn into something more productive, as I said. So we're just going to go ahead and start by moving the body a little bit. Let's go with our shoulder rolls, which for me are really great to say, well, okay, what's going on with my back? Where am I holding tension? So we're going to start with shoulder rolls. And personally, I hold tension in 3 major places. One is my upper back and my shoulders. The other one is my low back and my glutes. And the last one is my right at the jaw. So we're going to move through these bigger joints and then start into a little bit more subtle practice. Switch directions with the shoulders when you feel ready. And there's, you know, a bit of a taboo about touching your face. So just to make sure that your hands are clean, or we'll slide our long sleeve shirts if you have long sleeve shirts, and do a little jaw massage. If you feel comfortable with the cleanliness of your hands, then of course just use the fingertips as you massage around the jaw, opening and closing the jaw. Go ahead and just continue to roll through the jaw. Maybe even working to the ears. And another nice thing to do is that's calming is to take the thumbs and peel back the ears so that we're kind of unfolding the folds of the ears. We have some pressure points in there that you can squeeze, even on the inside a little bit. I know I went to a acupuncturist, and she gave me these neat little pressure point like seeds that were in a, like almost like a band-aid that she put at the pressure points in my ears, so that I kept those on for a week, and I would just kind of press on those. So those are kind of neat. That was a neat experience, and we'll just try and mimic it by squeezing around the ears. And maybe even the back. So this is another place that we kind of forget is right behind the ear, right at that jaw crest down there. So we've gone through the shoulders and the jaw, and now we'll get into the hips. Go ahead and unlace the legs if the legs are laced, and take the feet wide, hands behind you, and just a really simple rock back and forth. Here goes one of my hips. And of course, you could stay on one side for a moment and twist the torso. So whatever feels like the right kind of, oh, there goes the other hip, right kind of action for you as we release, start to release some of this tension, the bigger parts of the body. If you know for yourself that maybe it's the soles of the feet, so we'll tap into the soles of the feet. That's not usually a place where I personally hold tension, but it's a place to be aware of. And so go ahead and come back to our Baddha Konasana, soles of the feet together, and you'll just give the feet a little bit of a rub. And it's super fun to do some research, and I won't talk much about it, but into reflexology and how all these different pattern and energetic lines in the feet correlate with the spine and with different organs, with the eyes. So as we start to find those places in the body that are holding the physical tension, we can start to move through energetic tension as well. So as we're releasing this concept of fear or anxiety, whether it's about yourself or about someone else, we can move that thought pattern and ritual or habit that we've started to create into something, like I said, that's more productive. This doesn't always mean, you know, that we're releasing negativity and we're always happy all the time. That's not fair, because it's just not true. But releasing so that we're at least being more productive, not just sitting with it and having that continue to latch on physically and energetically into the body. Okay, so we've given our feet a little rub. And you can keep the soles of the feet together. We're going to interlace the fingers and flip the palm over. So now we're going to stretch the palms of the hands and reach out. And an inhale, reach the arms up, and an exhale, press away. Inhale up and exhale down. Trying to feel those two knobby sits bones pressing into the ground. Don't worry if your knees are up quite a bit higher. We're not going to be here for very long. Keep pressing away, starting to get that good stretch. Like I said, maybe you're holding tension in the hands. I know many of us, now that we've shifted to a lot more computer work, are starting to like that, or for me, it's this thing on the phone, right? So get a good stretch of the hands. And then in a moment or so, we'll drop the right hand down and reach off towards the right side. Get a good stretch in the side waist. Breathing into the left side waist so that the rib cage gets a little bit more space. And look down and up or roll, nod the head. And then go ahead and press off and switch sides. then we'll press off again, and we'll assist your left knee up. Take a hold of the left knee and give a nice big squeeze. Get nice and tall. And we're going to keep the left foot on the ground as you continue to twist. Take the left hand behind you and twist. Go ahead and look forward and tilt the head back. We're going to nod the head in an angle. And then take that left hand around, keep squeezing, and twist the other direction. And you'll look forward and do the same thing. Nod the head in an angle. So you're getting the stretch along your throat and into the lymph node. About 4 or 5 of these rocks, and then let that left leg come down. We'll do the same thing. Plant the right foot, hug the knee into the chest, grow a little bit taller. Keep hugging and twist. Looking forward again, rock the head back a couple of times. And we'll continue to twist the torso, bringing the right knee in. Look forward and rock the head back. Back to center. And release both feet down, and we'll do our seated cat-cow here. Rolling back and forth along the sits bones, waving through the spine. Going as quickly or as slowly as you would like. Just trying to get some movement from the tailbone through the crown of the head. Inhale forward, exhale back. This is a nice little energy. And by energy this time, I mean stamina energy boost, but it's also energetic boost for the nadis, the energetic lines in the body, or you could say meridian lines, whatever. They're basically the same thing. Energetic lines in the body. Starting to move away from tension, anxiety, clasping through those lines as pranic energetic lines. We can flow all of that pent up energy out. We'll take a couple more, and then we're going to repeat a little bit more quickly the twist we were doing. So maybe 1 or 2 more, and then fold your left knee in, give it a hug and twist. Big inhale and exhale. Back to center, switch sides. Big inhale and exhale. Back to center. Right hand down, sweep off to the side. Press up, second side. Take that series one more time. About 10 of these. Rolling. Seated cat-cows. And we'll just switch which leg comes in first this next time. We'll bring the right knee in first. Take 2 or 3 more. And then pause, bring the right knee in, twist. Look forward and away. Follow the gaze line to switch sides. Forward and away. Back to center. This time we'll plant the left hand down, sweep off to the side. And then press, switch. And press to center, assisting both knees closed. Just for a moment, extend the legs and we'll wiggle and knock. And then you can sweep the legs around, plant the feet, and move down onto your back. Once we're down, I like to not only fix my clothes, but also take my hands to my hip points and just swish my hips to get a little bit more space at the low back. Like I said, that's where personally I keep a lot of tension. So my back has been acting up quite a bit recently. And a really simple figure four moving into our cat pulling tail figure four. Keep the right foot planted, and take the left foot over the right knee. A moment to press the inner thigh away and press down onto the hip point. Trying to feel that diagonal expansion, excuse me, at the sacrum. You tuck the tailbone back and forth. I knew that he was going to do that soon. There goes the other one. And then hug everything in. Keeping the upper body heavy on the floor. Maybe draw some circles with the toe in one direction. And then switch directions. Just using the weight of the upper body, draw the leg arrangement to the chest. And we'll take some big breaths into the belly. As you inhale, allow the belly to swell. So the legs are going to travel away slightly, and exhale, hug everything in. Inhale and exhale, like a little pump. Keep going. Maybe hugging a little bit more deeply. Two more of these. And then we'll bring the hips back to center. You're going to be right in my way. Bring the arms out to a T-shape or cactus and roll off to your side. So that we've got the figure four still happening. That left knee attempting to face the ceiling. And you can roll off as far as you'd like. And then maybe peel the chest back open. And again, tuck the tailbone back and forth. And just let the upper body be nice and heavy. Hank wants his morning stretches too. So it's common to kind of grip on the side that's touching the ground. See if you can soften through that side waist a little bit more. Maybe peel the chest open. And then we'll roll back to center. Unlace the legs. And just let the knees come together, feet apart, that both arms down. Pause for a moment and just let that energy and whatever's happening there kind of pass through. You can feel that pushing out through the sole of the foot. Any tension, the back of the head. Second side. And hands to the hips. Take your little hip swishes to start with. And cross the second ankle over. Pause for a moment. Inner thigh presses away, hip point down. Maybe tuck the tailbone back and forth. Once you feel the sacrum flat, we'll hug this leg arrangement in, interlace the fingers. Pause for a moment. And about 10 of these big belly breaths, inhale and exhale, squeeze. free to breathe out of the mouth. Last one or two more. And then cat pulling tail, roll off to one side. Figure 4 twist and open back up. Maybe roll all the way off to the side and then peel the chest back open. Taking the hand to the inner thigh, knee is up. Releasing all your weight down to the floor side. We're just letting this arrangement of the body do the work for you. One more breath. Go ahead, roll back to center. Unlace the legs. And then we'll heel to the feet wide, knees come to touch. Just pause for a moment. Maybe even envisioning the movement of energy out through the soles of the feet, releasing the tension from the low back. We'll heel to the feet together, hug both knees into the chest. We're going to do another twist. This time, both legs off to one side. Roll all the way off to the side, and then like you're drawing a half circle, twist the chest open. You can look back and forth, getting a little bit more stretch at the rib cage. For the shoulder. And then you'll take that top arm, come back, roll back to center, and do the same thing on the second side. Both knees off to the side, roll all the way off, and then peel the chest open. Maybe look back and forth. Softening the rib cage open. Another breath or so. And roll back to center. So I'm just going to move away from the wall a little bit because we're going to start to move this a little bit more dynamically. You'll draw the legs up to their tabletop position. And then with your, let's say with your right hand, so I don't get confused, we'll take the left arm out to the side and then draw your big half moon. Roll off to the side, hands come to touch. Peel open. Use the core back to center and roll off to your second side. Palms come to touch. Peel the chest open, press, legs. So there you go. Getting a little bit more fluidity through this chest opener. I really like to do these more dynamic moves. We'll just go once more each side. If you're like me, you're traveling quite a bit. And center. Go ahead and find your way back kind of to wherever you'd like to be on your mat. And we'll heel toe the feet wide. Let the upper body rest and just windshield wiper the knees. Movement for the shoulder girdle. And we'll move into our cross the body work. Interlacing the fingers behind the skull. And you can move the low back a little bit. We're going to the inhale, exhale, come up, and then tap opposite elbow and knee, and then come back down. And tap, and down. So, of course, you can make this like this little kind of tiny little movement, or you can really extend, hover the upper body, do a little bit more hugging of the muscles to the bone as you tap across. So not only is this, again, physically good, but also moving across the body like this helps to connect the two hemispheres of the brain a little bit more, starts to build some more resiliency across the right and left hemisphere. Keep going. Just two more each side. Last one. And then we'll let the legs come down, slide the legs out. Just place the hands on the belly. You can smoosh your belly around. And a little belly massage. Unless, of course, you had a lot to eat. And then it won't feel nearly as good, which is okay. Okay. So we'll slide the heels back to the hips. We're going to hug both knees into the chest. Keep a hold of the right knee. Extend or plant the left foot as we get into a happy baby. My recommendation for this practice this morning is just take the foot a little bit wider, your left foot a little bit wider as you reach the right foot up. So if you have a strap and you want to use it on the sole of the foot, that's just fine. Or you can do what I'm doing, which is interlace the fingers behind the thigh. And if both shoulders stay on the floor, then you could wrap your hand over the sole of the foot. So it's a little bit hard to see, but I'm not allowing my low back to peel up. I'm pressing back down. And exhale, soften through the belly. You can do the same practice with those deep inhales into the belly. Feeling the leg come away, the shoulder come away, and exhale, soften. About 10 breaths, roll round 3, 7 more rounds of breath. Settle in. Feel the weight of the body drop down. So if your body's fighting this arrangement, just back off a little bit. Like I said, we're trying to work gently with the body and not force what we think should be happening. And after this, inhale and exhale. Just let that right foot come down. Maybe extend the leg. We'll pause for a moment in a little mini Shavasana. Palms face up. Just a couple breaths here. Moving from asymmetrical to symmetrical. Noticing any differences between the two sides of the body. And start to move to your second side. Yeah. And this side might look a little bit different. And let those changes happen and those differences occur between both sides. Settle in. Allow the muscles to soften. The spine to drop down to the floor. Concentrating on the movement of breath through the body. Just if you're clenching in the glutes at all, see if you can soften around the hip socket. One more inhale and exhale. Let the opposite foot come down. And neutral body, and if that means that the knees are bent for you, that's okay. And we'll move off to one side and make our way onto all fours. Just turn the hands out a little bit here. I'm going to get lots of room across the collarbones, and these can be a little bit wider as you travel through a little cat-cow. Lots of space for the body. We'll stay with this linear cat-cow. We're going to move into some circles in a moment. See how much space you can get between the sits bones, across the collarbones. Waving from the tailbone to the crown of the head. And after this last one, we'll bring the inner thighs to touch. Now walk the hands forward. And we're going to draw big circles with the hips. We're coming forward and back, getting into the sideways. And just let the head drip down. Transfer weight forward, back, left, right. Switch directions. And we'll pause in the middle. Lock the hands back to the knees, and we're going to slide the right foot forward and drop down to sit on top of the left heel. And then slide that right leg out. So we're seated on top of the heel, and you can point and flex the foot. In fact, see if you can soften the foot and then come forward. And of course, you can always slip something underneath that right hip. And just notice how when your head is nice and heavy, that you're getting a big, efficient, or at least for me at least, I can feel all the way from the tailbone up the spine, shoulders. Take the hands as wide as you need. We're going to stay here. And if you're finding that the leg wants to immediately engage, then point and flex the foot, but kind of have a, if you can, pretty passive leg. Here's a great place to notice if you're suction cupping the tongue to the roof of the mouth, or if you can let the tongue be a little bit heavier. Again, weird faces, stick your tongue out. And we'll slide that right leg back. Shift your weight forward back to all fours. Keep sliding the right leg back. Keep the toes curled under, and we'll shift our weight forward and back. You're going to sweep that right leg out to the side and do the same thing. Shift your weight forward and back. Really reach the hips back. Press into the outside of the right foot. Feel free to come forward and pause for a minute. But notice that we're not dipping the hips down and just letting the pelvis collapse, but reaching forward. You can press back for as far as you'd like. Again, soft top of the thigh. And then from here, we're going to take a twist. Keep the right hand planted. Peel the left arm up and twist. Of course, that left hand could just be at the low back. Go ahead and unwind yourself. Slide the right knee in. And we'll take this again, cat-cow. Maybe noticing there's a little bit more freedom on that right side. A little bit more release. I'm gonna have to turn so that I don't hit the wall. Bringing the inner thighs to touch, walk the hands forward, big circles with the hips. Switch directions if you haven't already. And then we'll walk the hands back, slide that left foot forward. Allow the weight to drop down onto the right heel as you extend through the left leg. Let the leg be passive. If you need to point and flick the foot, go ahead and do so. And then pour forward. Rolled up blanket underneath this sits bone can be useful if you're finding that the knee compression is too much. Let's take another 2 or 3 breaths. See if you can get a little bit heavier in the torso. Shift your weight forward, plant the hands, slide the left foot back. Keep the toes curled under. Get a good Achilles tendon stretch. Imagine that you're pressing all of the fear energy or anxiety energy out through the palms of the hands and the soles of the feet. And then we'll sweep the left leg around. Do the same thing, come forward, press back. Pausing if you need to. Plant the left hand underneath the face, so you've got this little triangle. Tuck the tailbone if you need to, and peel open. Again, maybe the right hand to the low back. Look down and up. And exhale to unwind yourself. Left knee back underneath the left hip. And here we'll either crawl the knees back or walk the hands forward and lie down on your belly. Take the legs as wide as you need to, pillow for the forehead. And just let the tailbone move back and forth. Let the head drift left and right. Keeping the low half of the body stable, we'll take another 3 breaths on the belly. You can have the legs as wide as you'd like. We'll bring the hands a little bit wider than the mat. And feel free to tent the fingertips. Just going to inhale up, twist and look behind you for 1 heel, and exhale, come down. Inhale up, twist and look behind you for the 2nd heel, and exhale, come down. Working breath, inhale and exhale. Maybe eventually getting a little bit higher and higher. As long as you don't have any compression or tension happen in the low back. I just came a little bit too high. You can feel my low back tense up. So we're trying to avoid those sharp shooting pain sensations and just work with freeing the joints and finding some natural or finding new habits. Rehabitizing, that doesn't seem like the right word. But couple more. And then once you feel about even on both sides, you can either let the head just drop down, turn to one side, and here we'll bend the knees and draw big circles with the feet in one direction. Switch directions if you haven't already. We'll bring the soles of the feet together and take the knees rather wide. So a gentle version of frog. You can kind of notice how you're flat on the ground like a frog. If it feels good, you'll start to slide the forearms underneath the shoulders and lift the chest. And if there's any pinching or compression in the low back, then just take the feet down. Let the head hang. Then maybe slowly slide the hands back more, press down and lift the chest. Keeping the broadness across the collarbones and the head relatively level. And notice if there's any tension in the glutes, shoulders, neck, jaw, hips. Big breaths into the belly. One more inhale and exhale. And then we'll bring the feet down. Slide the knees back. And we're going to press to child's pose. If it's accessible, we'll bring the inner thighs to touch so it's more like the embryo pose. We're reaching the sits bones back, and you can walk the hands up. And then we're going to drape the tummy over those thighs, so you should feel a little stretch at the low back. Let the palms face up and the head hang. We'll do a little breath work here as you're inhaling, and even if the knees are wide, that's just fine.
We're just going to inhale and imagine the breath coming up through the tailbone, up the spine, pulling at the crown of the head, and then from the crown of the head, pouring down into the earth. Each exhale getting a little bit heavier. If it's beneficial for you, you can even actively imagine a worry or a fear or an anxiety and let it draw up the body. And then pour out the crown of the head into the earth. Keep getting heavier. We're going to stay here in this compression for another at least 5 breaths. When you feel ready, bring the hands forward. Press the palms to the floor as you curl up one vertebrae at a time. Take the top of the right foot and place it into the sole of the left foot and let the hips drop to the right for our open seated twist. You're going to twist to the left, tuck the tailbone back and forth a couple of times. Opening across the collarbones. Make some neck circles. And keep the feet as they are as you twist in the opposite direction. Soften the thighs. Walk the hands back to center, shift your weight forward, second side. Stumble the top of the left foot into the sole of the right foot, drop to the left. And we'll twist to the right. Unwind yourself. Twist to the left. And this time we'll just slide the legs around. And option number 1 is a seated figure 4. So we'll just all start by moving the flesh away from the sits bones, taking the feet a little bit wider. Bring the hands behind you. Shift the hips back and forth before we move to a reverse tabletop and then into our hips. So keep the feet planted. Press down, squeeze those shoulder blades together as you lift the hips and let the head drop back. Pressing the floor away, lift the hips, reaching the tailbone forward. Grip with the fingertips. If the hands need to be wider, go ahead. And hips come down. Extend the legs, find a soft forward fold. One more reverse bridge here, and take the hands wider. Like I said, we want to keep the collarbones open and the shoulders stable. So if it's too much to press down into the shoulders, just let the head drop back, or you push the fuller away, lift the hips. Going for about 5 breaths. I'm going to feel the extension, elongation through the side waist and the tailbone. Attempting to get the hips in line with the knees. And now come on down. Soft forward fold. Assist the legs towards the hips as you cross the right ankle over the left. Feel free to stay here. Or if you wanted a little bit deeper, you're going to heel toe the the left foot off to the side, shift your weight forward. Press the hands down to the ground and lift and place the hips back down for fire log. If the knee is popping up, that's okay. Staying here or softly starting to walk forward. And we're not trying to push through to another sensation. Just stay with what you have. Walk the hands back. If you're in fire log, you'll unlace whatever you're doing. And again, start the second side, being nice and curious. Maybe this is best for you, or fire log on this side would be good for you. And if you're coming into fire log, picking up the hips and placing them back down before you find your forward fold. Walk your hands up. Wherever you are, unlace. Back to center. And you're more than welcome to recline on your back, or if you prefer seated, go ahead and find a nice comfortable seat. See if I can't get my snoring puppy to. So make yourself comfortable, whether it's seated or on your back. We're going to come back into that breath visualization. Just watching the breath travel up the spine, crown of the head. For on the ground, you can allow that excess energy, the fears, those habits that we're trying to shift out of toward to the earth. And if you're seated, you can allow that to start to rise, or even imagine like a waterfall coming out from the crown of the head and circling back down 360 degrees around you. So we're still grounding, keeping our energy connected to the elements of earth and water. Using the visualization to cleanse up through the spine
And through the crown of the head back down to the earth. We'll stay for another 10 breaths here. Go ahead, 12 breaths, and you'll count back from 12. Go ahead and release the counting. Releasing the visualization. Just watch the natural cadence of the breath. Enjoying the body breathing. You're more than welcome to stay where you are if you're on your back, or if you wanted to move up to a seat, go right ahead. Maybe a little stretch. Whatever you need to do to make your way to a seat. If you're coming up, I'd like to close class in that way. And if you're still on your back, that's just fine. Wherever you are, we're just going to take the hands together, heart center. Maybe right now, as we're trying to find new habits and practices that are enlivening and productive, making an agreement with yourself, what's something that I can do today that supports this cleansing or shift or habit. And maybe that's just writing down things that you're grateful for or something you're looking forward to. Having an extra glass of water. And you'll frame that as an I am, or not I will or I might. I am going to drink 2 more glasses of water today. I am going to go for a 30-minute walk. Once you have that, go ahead and say it to yourself one more time. Or if you really wanted to, if you feel confident and comfortable, you could say it out loud. And then we'll take a big inhale, stretch the arms up. Exhale through the mouth, hands together, heart center again. Let the chin drop to the chest. Have a wonderful rest of the day. Be safe and well. Be kind as you can. And know that you are loved. Thank you.